The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you. Today, I want to dive deep into one of the hottest issues that is burning up America. And many of you may not even know what's going on right now. Some of you, for those of you who watch me and watch my show, you are aware of this because I have mentioned it before. And congratulations, because those of you who watch this program are members of the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land, in all of radio land, ladies and gentlemen. Birthright citizenship. That's the topic. And it is, well, let me say this right at the get-go. We all should be able to agree with that which I am about to say. No one who is a true American patriot with any shred of intellectual maturity will have any reasonable grounds upon which to disagree with this topic and with my perspective, with my analysis of the state of play in America regarding this issue. There's been a loophole that's been weaponized against us, turning our nation into a magnet for illegal immigration, chain migration, outright chaos that results from all of that. I'm talking about a massive misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. It's handing out United States passports like their participation trophies. And President Trump is leading the charge to fix this once and for all. So over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to go into this and break it down for you. You need to be armed with the truth. And like I said, reasonable people from any walk of life and from either side of the aisle should be able to agree here today. I understand that there are radical kooks on both sides, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you, ladies and gentlemen. The history here and the lies from the radicals that try to divert America and you and me away from the intent of our founders. And that's why reforming what I'm about to talk about is key to making America great again. Now, liberals, you reasonable liberals, when you hear me say make America great again, please don't freak out. Please don't automatically shut off the program. Well, he's a Trumper. I do support President Trump. Yes, but hang on a minute. We should all be able to agree. Reclaiming our sovereignty, securing our borders, putting America and Americans first. Putting you first, ladies and gentlemen. Putting me first. Putting us all first. We should all agree, or be able to this reasonable common sense approach. So let me start at the beginning. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, right after we finished with our Civil War in America. And it says, and I'm going to quote the 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. As I always say, words matter, and they do, ladies and gentlemen. It's true. We have to choose our words carefully, and we have to read words carefully. So let me read those words again, and listen to that key phrase, which is, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. The 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Now, that sounds straightforward, and it is, believe me, but the devil's in the details, specifically that phrase, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. The commu-socialists, those radicals who were formerly known as Democrat, and I'm not labeling all of you Democrats commu-socialists because I'm fully aware that there are still reasonable people who are Democrat. They haven't converted completely over to the commu-socialist radical wing of that party. But it's the commu-socialists who want us to believe that it means anybody, that phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, applies to everybody or anyone born on U.S. soil. Anybody born on U.S. soil gets citizenship, no questions asked. But that's a load of baloney, my friends. Our framers added that clause for a reason, and the reason is to ensure full allegiance to our laws without divided loyalties or immunities. It was meant for people truly under America's umbrella, the U.S. citizens or legal residents who've committed to this country. It wasn't meant for illegals. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Illegal aliens sneaking across the border, tourists, and they do this, planning their vacation to America in the 9th month of pregnancy for a birth tour from places like China, Mexico, Iran, anywhere. They're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, ladies and gentlemen. The framers made that clear. In their original intent, it didn't apply to foreigners or to illegals. I mean, when foreigners and illegals are here, certainly they have to follow our laws. That's common sense. Everybody knows it. They have to obey traffic signs. They can't commit crimes. But ultimately, and if they do, they face the consequences like anybody else. But ultimately, their allegiance is to another home country. If a foreign national, anybody from another country, comes in here, gets in trouble, their embassy jumps in with consular protections. That's not full United States jurisdiction, my friends. It's a divided house. And our founding fathers, they never dreamed that this clause would be twisted to reward lawbreakers with citizenship for their kids. No way, ladies and gentlemen, no way. The amendment, the 14th Amendment, was laser focused on justice after the Civil War, and it was designed to overturn the horrific 1857 Dred Scott decision, which denied citizenship to freed slaves and their descendants. It was about righting wrongs for Americans who had been oppressed right here on our soil, not creating an open invitation for the world to drop anchor babies and game our system. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, birthright citizenship, like it is in this case, is a rare phenomenon across the planet. In developed nations, this very rarely ever happens. Countries like France, Australia, the United Kingdom, they don't hand out citizenship willy-nilly to anybody who comes over and is born in their country. They require at least one of the parents to be citizens of that country. And why is that? Because it protects their borders and it protects their people, my friends. But here in America, we've let the radicals stretch this into a free-for-all, fueling birth tourism. It's a real thing. I'm not making it up. I'm not joking. Birth tourism rings where people in California rent out exquisite hotel rooms, pay a fee to come here, have a kid, and snag the golden ticket, which is a United States citizenship and a passport. I'm talking about over 300,000 anchor babies a year in this country, adding to chain migration, bringing in their families then, bringing in extended people, extended families, all on your dime, by the way. That's not compassion, my friends. It's conquest. It's draining our welfare system, our schools, our hospitals, our communities, because we're giving away our tax-funded benefits to illegals. Billions are hemorrhaging, billions of dollars, while our veterans wait in line for health care or sleep on the streets in our country. Our Liz Peek really nailed it in a Fox interview that I saw the other day. Our immigration system does not put America first, she said. And she's spot on. This is a vulnerability that makes us a laughingstock compared to other nations. Now, let's talk about precedent, because that's what the critics of my perspective here will bring up, because the left loves to hide behind settled law. Oh, Doug, there's over 100 years, literally, of proven jurisprudence on this issue. It's a case that has been settled long ago. And they point to a case like the 1898 Supreme Court ruling in the United States. And the name of that case, United States versus Wong Kim Ark, where a child born to legal Chinese immigrants was granted citizenship. And that's the key. The kid's parents were legal citizens. Fair enough in that specific case. The parents were legal residents. So, of course, the child becomes a legal resident here. But the liberals in this country have ballooned that case to cover illegals, tourists, you name it. That's not what that Supreme Court decision said, my friends. It focused on resident aliens, not border jumpers, not people here on birth tourism. Over a century of so-called jurisprudence. Oh, yes, it's jurisprudence, Mr. Billings. It's been settled years ago, and thank you for your concern. See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Well, wait just a minute. Roe v. Wade was also a case settled on 50 years of jurisprudence, and it was decided that Roe v. Wade was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Flat out wrong. Remember that? Decades of precedent upheld time and time again. But in 2022, Dobbs comes along and overturns it because it wasn't and isn't in the Constitution. Roe v. Wade was activist overreach. And the same is true here. The 14th Amendment was never meant for those people who are here illegally, who aren't even fully subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. The White House said it plainly the other day. The 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born within the United States. Exceptions like children of diplomats or invading forces prove this point, ladies and gentlemen. No automatic citizenship is given there. Even President Trump comes in now. He's our warrior president, right? Sorry, liberals. That's okay, you can disagree with me on that, but not on the overall point that I'm making. In January of this year, he dropped that famous bombshell of an executive order that directed our agencies in the United States to stop recognizing citizens for giving citizenship to kids born of undocumented parents or those on temporary visit visas. Boom. Leadership. Now, of course, the deep state and the activist judges in federal courts blocked it, screaming about precedent, jurisdiction, years of it, jurisprudence. Well, so this is the process. Trump knew it was going to be challenged. This is the process we have to go through. You issue an executive order. The courts, if they're liberal and activists and weaponized, they'll rail against it. Then it goes to the Supreme Court, as this case has now done. With the Supreme Court set to decide this case, and the case that you need to be looking for, the one I'm referencing, it's coming up in January of 2026, just a month away, Barbara versus Trump, okay? This could give Trump a massive opening to reset the entire immigration debate. Win or lose, mind you. Even if the order gets struck down, his executive order, if it gets struck down by the Supreme Court, it shines the spotlight on the broken system. And you can better believe I'll be talking about it. Congress is going to have to act, maybe even a constitutional amendment if needed, but they're going to have to act to button this down. They're going to have to act to turn President Trump's executive orders into law. Now, I know Mike Johnson is working to do that. It doesn't always happen as quickly as we want, because reforming birthright citizenship is the linchpin to fixing our entire immigration crisis. It slams the door on the incentives for illegal crossings into our country. No more caravans rushing the border thinking if our baby gets born here, oh, that'll seal the deal. It cuts down on chain migration, where one anchor baby pulls in aunts and uncles and cousins, ballooning our population without regard to skill or assimilation or available resources. Right now, 70% of immigrants come here via family ties or random lotteries that were given. Now, Trump's put an end to that. A system that favors random chance over the skills our economy needs is a disaster. And that's what President Trump said back in 2018. So this has got to change. Trump is working to do that. His blueprint, simple. He's going to shift to and set up a merit-based immigration system, just like our neighbors to the north in Canada do, ladies and gentlemen. A points model prioritizing education, skills, English proficiency, which is important, because how many stories do we have to hear about truck drivers in California who were given a CDL license, who aren't from this country, can't read our language, and therefore can't read traffic signs, and create orphans because they kill parents and others on the highways of America. We're going to bump it to a skill-based admission process also, from 12% to 57%. You got it. 57% of the people who come in here have got to have skills that the United States needs. You've got to be able to go to work. And end the diversity lottery, that ridiculous raffle ticket that hands out green cards like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Forget it. Done. Gone. And the long-term undocumented people who have contributed. Here's where Trump shows mercy. The people that have been here a long time who are undocumented, illegally here, but they have been contributing, they've been working, let them apply for resident status, but forbid citizenship as a penalty for breaking our laws of getting in here. Mercy, yes. Common sense, yes. And by the way, the plan offers no amnesty, no wholesale deportations, just accountability. And the American polls back this up, folks. Last year's Gallup poll showed 55% of us want immigration reduced. And today, nearly half of the United States supports deporting illegals. A Harvard poll that I read, 84% of the American people are for a merit-based immigration system, including 75% of Democrats. Even across racial lines, folks get it. But the radical left communist socialist movement in America, they oppose it tooth and nail because more illegals means more voters for them. And that means more power in blue states because you can add more seats to the House or to the Senate. That's why we need to exclude undocumented people from our census count, so that sanctuary havens in California, New York, Washington, or Oregon, they don't get the extra seats that undocumented illegal immigrants can give you if they're counted in a census. If they do, that's rigging the game, ladies and gentlemen. And it's rigging it against America. Reforming Birthright sends the message: come legally, contribute, or stay out. No more sanctuary cities, no more catch and release. Build the wall, enforce the laws that we have on the books, and watch then our communities thrive. And you tie this to the bigger picture, ladies and gentlemen. Under Biden, the open border fiasco that we had in December of Biden's last month in office, we saw 300,000 people cross the border unvetted, unchecked. And if you're trying to tell me that there were not people in that group of people that want to hurt us, you're crazy. That's Kookville. There are thousands of people in this country because of Biden and open borders who want to do us harm. Crime, drugs, strain on our resources, all of it. It's got to stop. Places like Illinois releasing violent illegals despite pleas from ICE to detain them. That's the chaos that this kind of thing creates. And for the radical commu-socialist, formerly known as a Democrat, they want that. It's purposeful. They want the chaos. What other conclusion can you draw? Letting criminals out who are pedophiles, child traffickers, rapists, murderers, kidnappers. Illinois is letting them out. And they're undocumented. They're here illegally. It's bad enough if you let a real American out who's done something terrible, but the illegals, this Supreme Court fight isn't just about one clause. It's about reclaiming America for Americans. Our veterans, our workers, our families are first. No more putting the world ahead of our own, my friends. And this radical commu-socialist, formerly known as Democrat group, want to transform us into a borderless socialist utopia that can't ever exist and can't ever sustain itself, that will only cause depression, hopelessness, and death. We want this country to be America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the home of the American dream. And we're working towards that victory. Thanks for turning into the right side with Doug Billings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Please follow me. Share this video out. Educate people. I'm on YouTube. Please go over to YouTube. They just reinstated my channel. They said 4 years ago, they canceled me because I was too conservative. I got an email. Hey, we did that by mistake. You're back on. I want to invite you to go over to YouTube. I get and give advice and programming over there often. The name of the show, The Right Side, you can find me on YouTube at The Right Side Doug Billings, at The Right Side Doug Billings. Also, if you want to contribute to the show, please head over to DougBillings.us. I never charge you for this program, but it does take money to produce it. DougBillings.us. You can contribute over there. And hey, it's the holiday season. If you want me to give you or someone that you like or care for a personal message, look me up on Cameo. Happy to do that for you. We're in this thing together, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.